Well, I just every other time we've had to waffle on while
Well,
mic checks has been
we
going
are
on.
now recording. So
Oh,
now what you
okay.
say from this point on is consequential, I would say.
I mean, is not every word that escapes out of my mouth not consequential?
That's up to you to decide, I would say.
Mm,
Depends what you
well,
think about how consequential the things you say are.
well, every word conveys a specific thought, meaning, or something else. And so
True.
I would say that no words are without consequence.
Mm.
Now, how exactly consequential they are is another matter.
Well, the,
Mm.
Are the words that escape out of my mouth any more or less consequential than anyone else's?
Well, doesn't that
I
depend on
think
the context in which you're delivering them?
I think it does, but is it also me who brings more or less weight inherently than anyone
Well, I
else?
would say that's also. Is it not a combination of the
I think we
person that's
exist.
saying the words and the person that is saying the words is saying the words to?
Well, I think it's
Yeah.
important. It's important to remember that we exist in the context.
And we live in a society.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, but if I said the same thing as a very popular politician, I don't think my words would have the reach or the consequence that a popular politician would have. If for instance my words were said by a famous rapper, let's call him Drake in this scenario,
Yes.
uh, that they would have far more reach
Do you
and
think so?
therefore far
Therefore,
more
more
consequence.
consequence.
Yeah.
But if you were sort of talking like to a certain kind of person, and you were saying
Yeah.
something offensive to that kind of person, doesn't matter who you are. Your words then have consequence, don't they?
Well, I don't know. If you are but a child, if you're like a young child, then your words might not have as much consequence as a grown adult. You know, if a child calls you like a poo head, you know, you're not going to take that child as seriously, and
What
therefore
if
their
you
words
go
will
up
have
to a
less
random
consequence.
person? What if you go up to a random person in the street and call them a poo head?
I think that
What, what do you
there
think would
are.
happen? What do you think would happen from that?
I think we need to bring back the YouTube social experimenters. The real
So,
ones who didn't fake their social experiments.
and get them to say that people on the street are poo heads.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting social experiment. You know.
What do you have to say about this, Chris?
GOON.
Yeah. See. I think he's trapped in a vortex that has left him in mid 2024. Um, where those are the only
The only thing
words that
mid
will
here,
escape
the only
out of
thing that's
his
mid
I
here
mouth.
is
see.
a UTD. The only thing that's mid here is a UTD.
You see, the fact that you had to repeat that 3 times kind of lessens the consequence of those words too.
Well, there'll be
Because if
consequences
they,
if you don't let me do my intro.
there will be. Please do your intro.
Hello, my name is Hen, or you can call me that if you want, or don't. I can handle it either way. And my friends for today are.
I'm TD, and I still exist.
I am DT and I still do not exist.
Wow,
Are you design
there is
Are you design
there is no
technology?
subject in school called design technology. Damn.
Do you think though? Like, do you think people outside the UK might not know what DT is?
Um,
Is it
I
called
don't
the
know.
same thing? I don't know.
It's not a subject that was often discussed.
No, not really.
Um, you know,
Yeah. No, you're right.
I will have to ask my colleagues from outside the United Kingdom.
Like, do you know what DT is? Because I feel like it's It's not a complicated concept.
How are they colleagues?
Well, because we work together on my academic matters.
Do you work in your
So they're
real
co-
job
they're-
with people from
so
other
they're
countries?
They're not colleagues. They're collaborators. Hmm.
Partners in crime?
Well,
Hmm.
you know what? I have been asked to be one of their references. So yeah, yep.
I'm sure you'd
I would
provide
say
a
that's
great
pretty
reference. You'd
collegial.
provide an
I'm
insane reference.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a collegial relationship.
It could be sexual. It could be.
Well,
This could be pay for play.
well,
Pay as you go. What is pay for play?
Like
uh,
they're paying TD in
Is
return
that what
for favors.
happens? Is that what
so
happens?
what is this? Is this the blue and white website?
Is that what happens at the Dream
Mm.
Lounge?
The blue and white website.
Yeah, the one which has the blue and white logo and the acronym is OF, and I'm not talking about of.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that one. I thought you were on about the
You know,
yellow and black website.
no.
Well, no, because you don't pay for that one, right?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get a premium subscription.
I mean, how what does that enable one to do on that website?
I don't know, but I would imagine it'd be things like ad-free streaming. You don't
I
want
don't
your
know,
ads
but
getting in the way of that shit, do you?
I don't know.
well,
Let me describe all the benefits.
No, I'm not saying that I know, but I'm just imagining like if I were to go on that site and I was thinking about what a premium subscription would entail, it'd probably be something like that.
I see.
what do you reckon the price point is? The same as YouTube Premium or lower?
How much is YouTube Premium?
YouTube Premium, I believe, is £9.99 a month in Great British Pound.
I feel like it'd be cheaper because it kind of caters to one niche.
But I think people that are willing to pay are willing to pay.
Really,
That makes
PayPal.
sense.
What you reckon they're whales, for lack of a better
Yeah, I was
term?
about to say, are they whales? Are they
Yeah.
the golden geese?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, if you know the price of these services, please put them in the comments down below.
No, I'm gonna actually
Um,
I'm gonna actually look up how much this costs.
Okay, still feel free to put them in the comments down below. Um, I haven't checked the most recent comment sections, but there hasn't
It
been a
costs.
lot of discussion.
Okay, it says here 15. It says $15.
15. I'm imagining those are United States dollars.
Yes.
You did it again. You keep saying United States in a weird way. I don't like it. And I'm going to call you out on it every time.
Okay,
Well,
there are people on Reddit saying that this is worth it.
Okay, so what are the features then?
It just says like this person on Reddit said, "Oh yeah, just in terms of quality, it's worth it."
What? So it's got to increase quality in certain videos.
Apparently, yeah.
You can get 4K.
You can get 4K like experience. And probably get ad free as well.
Poor. Isn't that phenomenal?
I mean, that's price to performance. That, jeez.
Wow.
And on that bombshell,
Welcome to the Drake and Sonic.
Welcome to the
podcast,
Drake and Sonic, like,
podcast where we discuss Drake and Sonic. I'm
'cause
your host
actually-
for today, Sonic. Here
who
are my
said you- who said
co-hosts.
okay, I accept this as fun.
My co-hosts for today are.
I am Aubrey Graham.
Oh, hi Aubrey. And my other co-host for today is.
Alexander Graham Bell.
Oh,
Hi,
yeah, whoa.
Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Alex.
You're an uncommon guest around here. So, what are your thoughts on my most recent movie? As I'm
Do you ever
Sonic.
like turn in your grave, Alex, like thinking about what your creations have done to the world?
Yes.
That's a satisfactory answer. Thank you very much.
What are your thoughts on the Sonic 3 movie?
Um, I thought it was better than the second because the shorter length allowed the pacing to be very tight, and
Just like your mum.
I was trying to review the film
I
as
was reviewing your mum.
Aubrey Drake Graham, and you just interrupted me. I mean,
I was reviewing
Yeah,
your mum.
look. I don't know what podcast you're on, Alex.
yeah,
But
Alex
but here
Graham,
at the Drake and Sonic
we
podcast.
review Drake and Sonic material.
It's not my fault your mum looks like Big the Cat.
Really?
Right. Okay.
Do you
well,
know something?
Alex,
Right, listen, I've got something to report. Do you know something I realised about Big the Cat the other day?
no, I'm
He
not.
get this. He wears a belt, but no trousers.
Well, Sonic wears gloves
Maybe it's a chastity belt.
and
That's
boots.
what I was thinking. No, but like gloves and and shoes serve an independent an independent purpose.
Yeah,
But the whole point
belt
of a
can,
belt is to hold
a
up your
belt can be a
trousers.
fashion statement.
It can be a fashion statement, but the utility of that article of clothing is to
It can
hold up
also be
trousers.
well, no, it can also be to you've got a utility belt. Batman's belt doesn't hold up his trousers.
Yeah, but what is Big putting in his utility
His
belt?
fishing equipment.
He
Doesn't
always
go fishing?
carries that. No, he slings it over his shoulder.
He's always carrying his rod.
He's always carrying a big rod, yeah.
Weapons.
He doesn't do weapons. He's a lover,
But
not a fighter.
you never know. Maybe he's low key like packing some heat down there, and
His weapon is his rod.
All he does in the game is use his rod.
well, yeah, but you don't know what else he might have in that utility belt. Maybe Big the Cat's Batman.
Grenades.
Maybe he just dons the cape and he becomes the Cape Crusader.
Maybe he's maybe he's a Dom.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Aubrey. You were reviewing the Sonic.
Okay. I say, yeah. So I thought that because the pacing was a lot tighter, like the film was much better for it. Because the problem with the other films is, as much as I kind of enjoyed them, all of the human character stuff that they kind of kept tacking on was kind of unnecessary at this point, because I don't know why in these kind of hybrid animation films they feel the need to include that stuff.
So, in other words, what you're saying is, what you would be saying to the other movies is, you're too slow.
Yeah. Well, not even that. It's just like you're just cutting away to irrelevant things. Because you've got like James Marsden and his people.
So, what you're saying is there's no people in Sonic 3.
Well, there are people, but they're sort of actually woven into the plot much better. So it's not like you're cutting away to a separate human subplot,
So out of an arbitrary number, let's say 7.
Mm-hmm.
How do you rate Sonic 3?
I think it was a. Well, hang on. I'm rating this out of 7.
Yeah. And remember, Aubrey, who you are.
I rate it 6 out of 7.
The 6 God strikes again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like a lot of the actual things like surrounding the character who was central to this film were very cool, I think.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask now some questions that I think will make this more relevant to the kids. So, Ben, which character has the most Riz?
There is no Ben.
Sorry, Aubrey. Who has the most Riz in the film?
So is my review over then?
I mean,
Part
feel
of it
free
will
to keep
be.
going. I
It's
think
part of it will
Alex
be.
might
But
have
hang
jumped
on,
the
we've
shark.
already had discussions about which Sonic character is the most hung, which Sonic.
No, but I want to
There
know
was
in the
another one
film.
as well. Oh, in the
Okay,
film.
but yes, in the film, which character has the most Riz?
Um, um, I think Shadow.
Okay, which character? Do you want to elaborate?
His Latina girlfriend.
Ah, okay.
He was kind of risen,
So which character, to follow on from that question, sort of compound on it. Which character has is the most skibbity?
Um, the latte guy.
Is there ever a bathroom in any of the shots?
There was actually a bathroom in the film, like in Sonic 3. There was actually a bathroom because there was a scene where Eggman went into the bathroom.
So would you say Eggman therefore is the most skibbity then?
Oh, because he used a skibbity toilet.
Mm. Yeah.
See, I think this is a bit of an unorthodox review of the film, really.
But that's what I'm saying. This is how we're going to reach the kids. Is we've got to speak their language.
So the most Riz was Shadow. The most skibbity was Eggman.
Who was the most Livy done?
The most Livy done. Tails.
Yeah.
What about the most Sigma?
The most
Got to be Knuckles.
Knuckles, definitely. What about the most Ohio?
I think that's Eggman as well.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because he's a no, that's got to be Eggman's Gerald.
Gerald, yeah. Which was a bit strangely handled, in my opinion, actually.
Yeah.
Because they just sort of went for him being like another goofy eater. Which I think kind of works for the, for Eggman himself. I think him being like a goofy kind of Jim Carrey usual character works for him. But for Gerald, who is supposed to be a much more serious character, and they're having him doing all the same sort of Eggman stuff, it's a little jarring. Especially at the end of the film, which this is a spoiler-free review, so I won't disclose, but I just feel like there was a bit of, a tonal shift.
Tonal dissonance.
Yeah, tonal dissonance. That's what I was going for. That was a bit weird.
Well, I mean, speaking of both movies and Skibbity, Drake Drake as the pro Fortnite player that you are, what are your feelings on Skibbity Toilet 1 in Fortnite and 2 getting its own movie?
Peter Griffin.
Skibbity Toilet in Fortnite is Riz in Ohio.
Yeah.
In the movie, directed by Michael Bay.
I think executively produced. I'm not sure directed.
It's not directed by Michael Bay.
I think it's exec produced.
The movie directed by Michael Bay is going to be, it's going to be for Sigmas only.
Yeah.
Like, when you go in, they'll ask you a question like, "Are you a Sigma?" We need proof. We need ID.
So you're gonna take Adonis to go watch it?
I think it'll. Maybe the age rating will be too high for Adonis.
Really?
Yeah. It might be too intense for him.
But isn't part of being a Sigma the fact that you don't care about society's rules? You don't care about age ratings.
Yeah, but I'm Aubrey Graham, and I'm very, very concerned about the safety of my son.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that.
Do you think when he's with his mother, Adonis watches Skibbity Toilet, the series?
I think I think he watches Skibbity Toilet edits,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's the Drake news?
Ben. So wait, Aubrey.
Yeah.
On a scale of Skibbity to Toilet, rate the Sonic film.
It gets 3/4 of a toilet.
That's pretty good.
Wait, is toilet bad?
Yeah.
Because I would imagine toilet's bad and Skibbity's good.
Don't know.
I think Skibbity's good and toilet's bad. So I'm going.
This seems like a even more arbitrary way of rating than mine.
So I'm going for.
On a scale of Skibbity to Goon.
I'm going for Goon 0.5.
Oh, that's high.
Yeah, that's good. Like, you can't get that without trying, you know?
Well, I mean, there's only tangential Drake news. Now, Aubrey, one of the people who kind of passed you the torch back in 2013 was a particular Mr. Z, man, who's one of his most famous quotes is "Okay," and "Dumbo." Now, there's recently been a lawsuit that has alleged that he's done some pretty messed up stuff. Have you looked into this, or are you too busy in Canada trying to buy some milk?
I haven't heard about this.
Right.
So it's allegations against a certain person that you know has all the
Mr. Z.
characteristics that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Mr. Z.
Yeah.
Does he support Russia? Is that why he's Z?
No. He just doesn't have a. That's his surname, you know. He was around long before this particular movement was.
I see.
But yeah, I mean, would you like me to detail it and detail me, Sonic the Hedgehog's thoughts about it?
Sure, Sonic.
Or shall?
No,
Okay,
well, like Drake Aubrey Graham. I have not heard about this, so I would like to know.
So, U.S. lawyer Tony Busby, who's representing like in the 3-digit numbers of alleged victims of Diddy.
Wait, so it has something to do with Diddy or not?
Yeah, has unveiled a lawsuit that is both against Mr. Z and Mr. Party.
I can't believe we lost Diddy and Liam Payne in the same year.
Yeah. Thanks, Aubrey. Now, this lawyer is in many ways viewed as a bit of an ambulance chaser. I'm not sure how familiar you are with that term, Mr. Graham Bell.
Is that a law term?
It's a pretty modern term.
Or is it a modern term?
Excuse me.
It's both a modern and a law term.
Oh, Alexander Graham Bell is ringing on his phone that he just invented.
Yeah.
By deed poll, I've changed my name.
Oh, what's your name now?
What's your new name now?
Drake Bell.
Oh, okay.
Drake Bell.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well,
what is the surname of Josh from Drake and Josh? Does anyone know or not?
I think it is. I think it is Bell.
Are they both Bells?
Both ends.
Drake.
His surname is Peck. His surname is Peck. Josh Peck and Drake Bell.
Josh
Yeah,
Peck and
it's
Drake Bell.
Drake Bell.
Has anyone here heard Drake Bell's cover of Gucci Gang?
Well, seeing as it's on
Yes.
a playlist that is frequently used, yes.
Ah, oh yes, of course. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. So
It's good, I think.
yeah.
I think that's his
The
best
Goon
work.
playlist.
So, but yeah, Mr. Z's response was to say, well, the Tony Busby's an ambulance chaser, and let's watch this play out in court. And that was the end of the thing. It's probably going to be many months, if not years, before we find out whether Mr. Z was guilty of his alleged crimes.
What were the crimes that he was accused of? Just doing things at the parties.
Music.
Well, there was a young lady who alleges that unconsensual things were done to her at one of Mr. Party's party
He
by
played his
by
music.
by Mr. Z.
by Mr. Z, yeah, and Mr. Party as well.
Really?
They both played their music.
Yeah.
Did he?
So
Well, I mean, did play his music?
yeah. So yeah. Obviously, any allegations look bad, but at the same time, Mr. Busby, he's not quite Saul from popular series Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul,
Mhm.
but he's got the same kind of slimy
Reputation.
Is he similar to that?
yeah.
Is he similar to that lawyer that was representing Stormy Daniels?
I'm unfamiliar with the lawyer who represented Stormy Daniels. Remember, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog. I only care about two things, and that's Drake and Sonic.
trying to remember their name.
Why don't you explain Drake Bell?
Yeah.
Stormy Daniels' lawyer. Michael Avenatti. He went to prison for felony fraud and extortion because he kept suing people and saying, "Oh, I'll ruin your name," so that they would then make a deal.
That's exactly what Mr. Z has alleged. This Tony Busby guy is. That's yeah. But obviously, because none of this has actually played out in court yet, we don't know whether it's true or not.
I think we know that all lawyers are liars, and that's why you should always plead guilty.
Okay, thanks for your questionable legal advice, Drake Bell.
I pled guilty.
To what? What have you pled guilty to, Drake Bell?
Han, are you now Drake Bell as in the actual Drake Bell?
I'm Drake Alexander Graham Bell.
Okay, because the actual Drake
You're
Bell,
an original character.
He did plead guilty.
What did he plead guilty to again? I don't remember.
DUI.
DUI. Ah, I see. Drake Bell.
Apparently the real Drake Bell was potentially also fiddling with people unconsensually.
Exactly.
Fiddling with people of age.
No. I've found the words the 15-year-old victim. So that is
that's something quite different.
And this is within the United States. So that Mr. Bell can't annoy me.
By deed poll, I've changed my name again.
Yeah.
Has your name already been disgraced?
I'm no longer Drake Bell.
What's your name now?
Bell End.
Okay.
Bell End.
Well, Mr. End, I believe we have concluded the Drake and Sonic podcast, unless Aubrey or you, Mr. End, have any more subjects to bring.
No.
Anita Max Swing.
No?
Anita
You're
Max
too
Swing.
slow.
Anita McSween.
You're too slow. This has
This
been
is
the Drake
my,
and Sonic podcast. You're too slow.
This is my alter ego. Anita McSween. Anita McSween.
Shut the hell your mouth.
That's
Speak for yourself, motherfucker.
Anyway, welcome back to that was a great little Drake and
I
Sonic
don't know what
podcast they
came
had
over
there.
me. I like 10 minutes ago I just blacked out, and a guy that looked like Drake came in the room and grabbed the microphone. I don't know what I don't know what came over me.
it was your mum.
I didn't come over your mum.
No, she came over you.
No, I came in a different way.
Did you GOON?
No, I ejacked and evacked.
Right.
Well, I just want to say this really, girl, you're not the governor of Canada anymore, so it doesn't matter what you say.
But I am Justin Trudeau now.
Ooh, spicy.
The leftist prime minister.
Anyway,
of Canada.
the Drake and the Hen and Friends podcast continues now. Now we've got a fantastic list of topics to talk about. What are we going for?
Well, I think as Drake just left, I think now is the best time to talk about his home country and the resignation that's just occurred there.
Of the governor.
Well, it seemed like he was or had
no,
been.
I think you've.
Yeah, he's not the governor. What do you mean?
No, he's the governor of Canada.
Is that because it's not a real country?
No, it's the 51st state.
Well, it's about to be, but it's not yet.
Exactly. No, it is. We just don't know it yet.
Are we talking about
haven't made
the
the announcement.
51st state, or are we talking about the 50 other ones?
I think out of all the terms that have been thrown around, using governor, I think is a bit silly, in all honesty, because there's already a governor of Canada, but you know who that governor is operating on behalf of?
The Queen,
Joe
the
Biden.
King.
Yeah.
Am I okay? Am I
Third
okay?
chance.
Am I okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
The monarch, maybe, would be better.
The monarch. Yep.
Well, it's not a governor; it's a governor general.
Yeah, but you know that there's already a governor of Canada.
Well, but
Yeah.
they do occupy a similar ceremonial role where they don't do very much, from what I understood.
No, the governor of a state within the United States
Occupy
has
Wall Street.
quite a few powers. You know, they can veto their state congress.
No, I mean the Governor General of Canada.
Oh yeah.
They can occupy Wall Street.
I know that the governor of a state has powers in America. I'm talking about the Governor General of Canada.
Yeah, I think the Canadian Prime Minister actually has some of the strongest powers to appoint and remove the Governor General.
I think so, yeah.
Oh,
but the Canadian the Canadian Prime Minister is in general quite powerful compared to most countries.
Yeah, it's not a bad salary if you can become the Governor General of Canada. $342,100 Canadian dollars annually.
So that's like what, £4.50?
Do you think it should be Drake?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Could you imagine?
Yes.
Well, he's already said that he supports the annexation.
No, I'm pretty sure Drake supports re-annexation by the UK based off how much Drake loves the UK.
No, he said before that he supports becoming the 51st state.
Where?
I believe it was in his lyrics. Because what do we know America is full of?
Um,
Leftist communists,
Woke.
aka
Let's go.
aka
Let's go, Brandon.
lesbian.
Lesbo.
you see, I thought it would have been based off the recent Drake allegations. I thought it would have been like underage girls where you were going with this, but
You can have underage lesbians,
oh yeah,
and as we know, Drake does say, "You a lesbian, girl, me too."
Me
And
too.
that's him implying he too feels that he is American.
no,
So-
no, that could be him saying that he's from the Isle of Lesbos in Greece. We've done this bit. We've done this bit. Let's not retread old ground.
Mhm.
But fun fact about the Governor General
Of
that
Canada. Or
I'm
just
sure
of
I'm sure the
any country.
gamers of the listening base would appreciate.
Well, is this a fact
GG,
about?
the abbreviation?
I was about to say, is this a fact
that's
about the
gamer speak.
governor? Is this a fact about the Governor General in general, or is it about the current Governor General?
No, no, it's about the Governor General in general. Their abbreviation is GG,
I
which
thought
I'm
you were
pretty.
about to say that
it's-
they're a
it's some-
gamer.
Some gamer speak. Well, I maybe Mary Simon is.
Actually,
That
I've been
sounds like
thinking about gaming.
That sounds like-
I've been thinking about
like Mary
gamers and stuff, and
Yeah.
I think that should be a topic later down the line.
with or without the Y.
You'll see. Anyway, what do we think about Justin Woke Doe?
Well, I think him resigning is obviously the best play. Like, up to my understanding, he had a 17% approval rate or something like that,
And
or
it's
they were
just-
polling that in the polls.
I don't think it will work.
Oh
Why
no,
not?
it won't save their incredibly poor polls, but they were polling behind the Québécois party. And
Block-
so
Why did you say party with a Kiwi accent?
Party.
I straight up didn't.
You did. You did.
I
You
Everyone
just
went
straight up
like
didn't.
you tried to pronounce like Bloc Québécois in like French, but then you went Kiwi.
you went party.
Is it Bloc
I just-
Québécois or Party Québécois? Which one is it?
I don't know.
Because there's a
But-
lot of like Québécois parties in Canada.
Yeah,
I think.
it's behind the what's generally amalgamated into one Québécois.
Well, he's sort of
um,
one of those like, but I think Trudeau is one of those kind of like libs that's kind of hated by the right and the left, you know, or at least he's
Yeah.
become that now because of
Yeah. Well,
bad decisions and stuff.
I mean, also that and burnout. He's been the Prime Minister of Canada
For
for
a decade.
9 years. Like, that's a long time in politics.
Well, this year it would have been a decade.
Yeah. I'm not sure when he was elected. He might make it until a decade, depending on how long the replacement.
From memory, it was
searches.
late 2015, I think, something like that.
Okay. So probably won't make it to 10 years exactly, but
Do you think it's going to be a?
that's
Do you think it's going to be a Polyev sweep?
I think
I think that's what everyone predicts.
yeah, I think a very similar thing will happen to the Liberals of Canada that happened to the Conservative Party of the UK, which is again another very long-standing thing, because they were in power for 15 years, near enough.
Yeah, 14.
40, yeah. So and what with the anti-incumbency vibes going throughout the globe at the moment, it's yeah.
I think there were also similar anti-incumbency vibes against Dark Brandon.
I think there were.
But is Dark Brandon Dark MAGA?
That was a quick segue. I didn't realize we'd finished discussing about Mr. Trudeau.
Well, we can continue Trudeau if you want, or we can talk about gamers, or we can talk about whether Dark Brandon is Dark MAGA.
I think he is.
What do we want to do? It's like the
Oh, it's
decision
fine.
is on TD. I'm going to nominate the decision being on your hands.
I think we need to sit some more time with Trudeau and pay our respects. to everything that he did, and then I think discussing Dark Maga, think feels appropriate.
I think
Yeah.
his dad was better than he was.
I mean, yeah, his dad wasn't as successful though, was he?
Not in terms of how long he stayed in, but he was in terms of what he achieved.
Yeah, true.
In terms of concessions between English and French Canada, I think Pierre Elliott Trudeau was quite good in that regard, because that's quite a difficult country to keep together, you know.
Yeah, I think the Liberal Party have a very good way of doing things. Of they'll have Anglophone one time and then a Francophone for their next leader, which, you know.
Although that kind of the bilingualism in Canada has also been a point of criticism as well, though. I don't know what you think about this, in the sense that Quebec is like one province where French is the majority language, and, you know, the argument is that the Canadian state kind of panders to it a bit too much, given the small number of French speakers compared to English speakers in Canada, and it gives French speaking politicians quite a lot of privilege in the Canadian political system.
I think yeah, that is quite a bit of a criticism, because you've also got lots of the First Nations communities that do still exist and obviously have their own native language. And I think the Francophones, as a minority group, massively overshadow the First Nations in terms of how much rights that they get and how much special privileges that they get.
Well, there's this whole thing that, like, there's this kind of like founding nations myth with Canada, that Canada at its core is like a union between English speakers and French speakers. But the problem with that kind of mentality is it doesn't take into account, like you said, the First Nations people. But I think, for example, now in Canada, it's getting to the point that there are more people. I don't think there are more people, but there are getting to as many people that speak Mandarin as their first language than French. So therefore, couldn't you make the argument that the kind of French-English bilingualism is a little anachronistic?
Yeah, potentially. I think the French would rather declare independence than cede their rights, though, and I think the rest of Canada doesn't want independent Quebec.
I think this poses, I think, we've just solved the 51st state question.
So you're saying that if Canada was annexed, how would this problem be solved?
No, I'm saying that, look, he who must not be named wants Canada, right?
Yeah.
What, just give him the Quebec?
Just give him Quebec.
So now you've got a bunch of French speakers in the United States. Wait. I'm running with your scenario. So now you've got a bunch of French speakers in the United States. What do you do then?
Well, Canada's problem is solved. They can go back to just speaking the better language, English.
And the Americans can do what they did to Louisiana to Quebec.
Yeah. It's another French purchase. Have we ever said the word on a podcast? Have we ever said the term national bye-bye on a podcast yet?
No, and I don't think we should start now.
Can I explain like what a national bye-bye is?
I think this can be one of the main mysteries of the cast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be? I think the French would consider that a national bye-bye against them. You know.
Maybe. But sorry, back to the central thing of, I think it's cool they're trying to promote bilingualism in some regard, because if you look at lots of the English-speaking countries,
I have a question.
very few people know two languages. Whereas
That's true.
if you look to lots of the other countries, Europe especially, like the overwhelming majority is two, sometimes three languages, to the point of pretty much fluency. And so even if it is anachronistic, I think insisting on this French media might just be a good thing just for language learning bases. And, more communication, I think, is never going to be a bad idea.
I have a question.
Go on, Chris.
If you can have bilingualism, can you have homolingualism?
Is that where everyone only speaks gay?
No, that's where everyone only speaks the same language. I mean, that's going to be...
Wouldn't that be
So
monolingualism?
What's heterolingualism?
So if we're taking the Latin at its face, hetero being different, that would be different languages. That's the system that we've got now. Homo meaning the same language. So it would everyone speaking one language.
Well, then what's translingualism?
That would be
That's when you stop
that
speaking
would
one.
be changing from one language
What was that?
to another.
What was that, Chris?
Well, yeah, it's when you stop speaking one language and move to another.
Yeah.
So I'm a native speaker of English, but if I just move to Uzbek and I forget English, I'm a translingualist.
Yeah.
Probably. I'm sure it's happened before.
Someone's just forgot their native language.
Yeah.
But to go back to the subject, TD, I agree with what you're saying. On principle, in the sense that yes, I as a keen language learner, I would agree that people being encouraged to learn languages is a good thing. But I do think that, another criticism about the sort of political system in Canada, I think the Prime Minister of Canada, for example, or people in a lot of top political roles in Canada have to be able to speak English and French, right?
If you want to become a naturalized citizen, you have to speak English and French.
Right, so, but the thing is, still, the vast majority of English Canadians cannot speak French. I'm pretty sure. The number of English-speaking Canadians that can speak French is quite low, from what I understand.
Yeah, probably. I know one of my Canadian friends, when I was like, oh yeah, I speak French, he was like, lol, you probably speak better French than I do. Another one is managed to dodge the French lessons because he is First Nations, and so he learned his native language growing up.
Oh, that's quite. I didn't know that. I didn't know that you could learn First Nations languages, and that's quite cool. Didn't know.
It's quite a recent phenomenon, within this century type thing. But yeah.
Well, there was a lot of the Canadian government did a lot of apology type stuff, because I don't know if you know the stories about the assimilation school things.
Yeah, the schools that they're still digging up skeletons from.
Yeah, it's really fucked up.
Yeah.
But to continue what I was on about, is the thing with that though is that French speaking Canadians therefore have quite a lot of privilege, in the sense that they're much more likely to speak English than the English speaking Canadians are to speak French. So that gives them a lot of preference for government roles and stuff, because they're just more likely to speak the other language, and therefore it's no surprise that a lot of Canadian prime ministers have been French Canadians.
Yeah.
So it's I get where it's coming from, but I do think that you do have a lot of unintended consequences with things like that.
I don't know. As someone who has no stake in the game, I kind of like the system where it is dual language broadcast.
Uh,
Um,
I get why it's done, but I can see problems with it.
yeah, I think it's a very unique idea, and I think the fact that it's managed to hold, you know, the nation together,
Mhm.
um, in this
But then
modern
what
age
about?
of nationalism.
But then what about the argument of like, oh, but what if eventually there's more like Chinese like Mandarin, um, like Mandarin native speakers in Canada than French? Do you think then it would still be valid to have like English and French as the two languages?
Well, yeah, because
Because they've been
those
spoken longer.
yeah, those are the two official languages.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't obviously Chinese can have a place as a minority language, and as can any other minority languages. But you know, if a country has one or two official languages, then though, like it's like it's the whole immigrant discussion that we had
Mm-hmm.
ages back. You know,
Yeah.
uh, generally if you emigrate to a country, the expectation is that you learn that language.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
But I do think the thing is though is that like I think most people like personally I know that I'm a language hobbyist. Like I do it just because I personally enjoy it. But I understand
mhm.
that's not why most people learn languages. Most people learn languages on a kind of need to know basis. So, you know, you're saying that a lot of people in Europe speak more than one language, but isn't that mostly just because, you know, English is kind of the global lingua franca and you kind of, well, not everyone needs to speak English, but a lot of people do need to speak English. And it's the same for, you know, native French speakers in Canada.
um,
So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just,
hmm,
yeah, while I would
language.
promote language learning where I can, I also understand that I guess not everyone is as good at it or not everyone has the time to do it as well. So
Yeah,
that's the thing, right?
I don't know. I think part of it's on the education system. Like, I think,
It's certainly very poor at how it teaches languages, I would say.
well, the one that we've experienced and the general Anglophone area
Mm-hmm.
teachers, because
Yeah.
it's but you know, if you go to Scandinavia, they teach English to a incredible degree at their
Mm-hmm.
schools. You know,
But
um,
I feel like the reason people are so fluent in English in Scandinavia has more to do with kind of the fact that they're very small countries and therefore, well, for starters, English is quite a similar language, but these are very small countries. So, therefore, in terms of like media consumption, if you're limited to just, you know, what you've got in the Swedish language, then you've not got very much to work with. So, you might as well learn English because then you've got a lot more that you can consume, you know. Whereas if you're like from,
potentially.
whereas if like, you know, if you're from a country like, I think a big reason that um I think a big reason that a lot of people in, for example, Japan can't speak English is because the Japanese media output is very robust. So there's no need for them to kind of consume that. But let's say you're from Estonia. Imagine if you were only limited to the things in the Estonian language.
But if you go to, you mentioned Uzbekistan earlier.
Uh huh.
Not a lot of them are going to be fluent in English.
But they'll know Russian.
I wonder what the percentage is that knows Russian.
Probably high because of the Soviet past.
Yeah,
Percentage of Russian speakers
but I bet
is
I'd put it at around 50%. That, and if that figure is
two
correct, then
point
you've
2.3% of the population in Uzbekistan speak Russian.
Oh wow. Okay, I was way off. Yeah, see, like if you're Uzbek, there's probably not a lot of Uzbekistan um made
Well, I
media.
mean, maybe. Well, I mean, you could say that that's a less developed country, so maybe there's a less of an appetite for that than there would be in Sweden. I don't know. Maybe.
I think part of it is just education systems. I think
it's a big. I think there's more fun ways to learn a language than the education system teaches you. I think.
Well, I think the education system in the United Kingdom is pretty poor for language learning. Like,
I think
I've
it's
kept
still
up
better. Go on, carry on.
I've kept up with my like language of choice from there, but if you look at many of our classmates,
They probably haven't.
and you were to try and test them on some of the stuff that they knew at GCSE, they wouldn't have a clue. So,
I mean, I do think there are a lot of countries' education systems and how they teach English is pretty terrible. I hear it's pretty bad in Japan.
yeah.
So I don't think it's a unique problem to the UK.
No, it's not a unique problem to the Anglo world either. If you speak quite a strong language, by strong I mean like got a wide coverage, like Spanish, Portuguese, French to a certain extent. You know, you don't get a whole lot of
I guess that's also why Spain is quite low in terms of English proficiency too.
Yeah, because you've got
a lot of stuff being made in Spanish.
You've got a lot of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's something that potentially we should research before
discussing further.
Talking more on. Yeah, so I think with Canada fully wrapped up, unless anyone wants to speak more on the possibility of 51st states.
Well, wouldn't it make more sense to break up the Canadian provinces into separate states? Or all of it is one state?
We'll have all of Canada, just because. I mean, it's no bigger population wise than Texas or Cali. No.
True. It's much, but then it would also be contiguous with Alaska.
Yeah. Or do you think it should become a British possession again? You know?
I think that would be funny just to spite
just to spite the Americans.
Just to spite
how
do I refer to him?
Just a particular American.
A particular individual.
Yeah.
The first Balkan leader of the United States.
Oh, it would also really irritate Elon.
Who should
pull
his hand out of UK politics, please.
Yeah, actually, I think Elon, and then jump off to Dark MAGA from him because he was the one who coined it, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Elon Musk, why are you dibbling and dabbling in other countries' politics? I'm making a call-out post on my Twitter.com or my X.com.
BlueSky.com.
Yeah, let's be real.
What did you say?
My BlueSky.com.
BlueSky.com.
Or my Threads.com.
Your Threads.com.
Yeah. But like, why is he one endorsing AFD? Two.
Well, no,
endorsing and then retracting.
No, he's endorsing.
Then retracting.
He's endorsing Reform UK, but with Tommy Robinson as
and
its
AFD.
leader.
and
But-
AFD.
But he thinks Tommy Robinson should lead it.
Yeah, like why is
I
he
don't know.
not only involving himself in British politics but also German politics?
But also Italian politics, apparently.
Oh yeah, no, him and Maloney are buddy buddies, aren't they?
Yeah, and he said that he's going to provide Starlink infrastructure to Italy.
Yeah. Oh, and he's building a SpaceX factory in Italy or something.
Yeah, or some weird shit like that. It's really quite funny.
Like, if there's to be a political assassination, it's inevitable, it's going to happen, and I just get to pick which current political figure gets assassinated. It's him.
Well,
because it won't matter him.
When people say, Russia's an oligarchy, but America's an oligarchy as well. Like, I'm often not very sympathetic to that argument, but I think Elon Musk is the first American billionaire that we've seen that's essentially behaving like an oligarch.
His money. Yeah.
It's like the soon-to-be current government of the US is perfectly okay with a billionaire using his money to influence politics, which is very oligarchical
and he's
behavior.
Now he's trying to election meddle in other countries,
other parts of the world.
Yeah, because before him and Big Nigel had a falling out, there was an alleged donation of $100 million coming to Nigel's direction. And if that is not election meddling, I don't know what is. I have always taken the stance of Twitter.com should be deleted and banned, but now I take that to a higher stance. It should, with zero irony in my voice, be taken down.
I still have it for some reason. I mean, it's just turned into a cesspit. And it already was one. So
it already, I have always been against that website, no matter who's in charge of it. It is the darkest recesses of humanity, and I think we'd be doing a lot better if it was deleted.
Mumsnet exists. Let's not be too dramatic here.
What exists?
Mumsnet.
What kind of opinions are spread on Mumsnet?
You don't want to know.
Is that like the local Facebook spotted group, only on a global scale?
Yeah, kind of.
Right. Okay.
Have you never heard of Mumsnet?
No, I haven't.
I've heard of Mumsnet, but I don't know what goes on Mumsnet.
You don't need to have too much of an imagination to figure out what goes on Mumsnet.
Come on, it's gonna be Karen.
I've got something in my head. Is it GB News? Is it GB News behavior?
Perhaps.
Ah.
But there's gonna be like the I'm trying to find the right word. There's gonna be the anti-GB News crowd on it as well. I'm imagining. Yeah.
Can I quickly look up the Wikipedia article for Mumsnet?
I'm going on r/spotted on Mumsnet.
r/spotted on Mumsnet. It's just also like a really weird name for a website.
You've taken a website, then you've done a spotted in, which is kind of like Facebook, and then you've put it in Reddit. We're like 3 layers of something.
Apparently, Gordon Brown and David Cameron had live web chats on Mumsnet.
Oh, yeah.
Gordon Brown referred to Mumsnet as a great British institution.
Since 2010.
No, because in 2020 it announced a premium membership option.
Right. Okay. So it hasn't had any relevancy since 2010.
I now need to see how much Mumsnet Premium is.
Because Orange website was $15. YouTube was 10 Great British pounds. How much is Mumsnet Premium? What does that buy you?
What do you get on r/spotted on Mumsnet?
No. What does Mumsnet Premium buy you?
Mumsnet
Gadnet.
Premium. Again, it's ad free as is the other premium
Right.
subscription.
Yeah, because
Well, let me put it like this. There is a Mumsnet post about to be uneasy about this new craze of spotted insert city name on Facebook.
what? Are they even more backwards than the spotted groups?
Why go premium? Upgrade to Mumsnet Premium for no ads, exclusive offers, and behind-the-scenes insights into causes you care about. Easily filter user posts and get priority access to product tests and join live expert Zoom chats. Your subscription also supports our 2024 campaign.
Experts on what?
Last week, I almost choked on my tea when I opened a post to a pic of a woman's legs wide open and asking for advice as to whether she was normal or not. Second one this week. Go away, ads. Second one this week was
You
one that
wouldn't
said.
get that if you bought premium.
Second one this week was
exactly.
Second one this week was one that said, "I'm ready." Curiously, I clicked on for the post to be an erect penis. The hell? I just didn't think this was the kind of place for that sort of thing.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, so it's dead. If the sex bots have managed to infest it, it's dead.
Wait, there are sex bots on
A woman
Mumsnet.
These are some questions that have been raised on Mumsnet. A woman I work with invited me to her wedding in Madagascar. I only know her to say hello to, but the flights and hotel and gift are going to set me back 10 grand, and I can't afford new school shoes for my children. How can I get out of it? My neighbor goes to the toilet every day in my front garden. Should I say something?
Your neighbor or your neighbor's dog?
Your neighbor.
Oh.
My sister-in-law deliberately ran me over and my legs are broken in several places. I don't want to go to the hospital as the family will say I'm causing a fuss.
Well, you see, this may be troll posting.
Should I keep my cats inside because a snake might eat them?
Han, is this a UK-based website?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. How many adders have you guys seen in the last however long you've been in the UK?
I saw an adder a few years ago, actually. No, I saw an adder 2 years ago. 3 years ago. No.
I think
2 years ago.
I saw a grass snake in primary school, but that's the only snake I've seen in the UK.
But that's only because I went
Outside of the zoo.
specifically to a place where they live.
Was it a zoo?
It was not a zoo. It was a national park.
Okay.
It was real wild.
Yeah, I saw a grass snake in primary school, and that is the only.
Can I please read out the Fathers for Justice protest against Mumsnet?
Go on.
In March 2012, Fathers for Justice launched a campaign highlighting Mumsnet's alleged agenda of misandry, which is apparently the hatred of, contempt for, or prejudice.
Oh, misandry. Yeah,
misandry.
I know what misandry is.
I've never heard of this term before. Or prejudice against men or boys. The campaign included a naked protest at Marks and Spencer.
What is this? Loads of guys with their junk.
This is loads of guys being naked at protest at Marks and Spencer.
UK. Hang on. Is it food Marks and Spencer, or is it a food and clothing Marks?
It just says Marks and Spencer because it's one of Mumsnet's advertisers.
Right. So
Mumsnet is wild.
High street retailer Marks and Spencer had for some time a few naked guys in it.
Yeah.
Great to know.
I wonder if it was like that scene in South Park when they walk through the school chanting "Wieners out."
Right, but in other words, Mumsnet's a dead website. Anyway, we were talking about Elon election meddling. Um,
Well, I think we talked about everything we could about it, really. I have nothing else to say other than was Dark Brandon Dark MAGA?
well, he's still in power
He is,
for
but
another
for
just
another
over a week.
a week. What do you think he'll do in that time? Do you think he'll...
I think he'll. Oh, I think he'll pardon some more people.
Do you think?
I think he'll pass a law that says it's illegal to invade Panama.
Yeah, to be fair, a lot of his agenda does seem to be screwing over the next administration.
Yeah.
I mean, what a troll move! Like, what a little, you know what he is? He's a little troll.
He's a little goober. Is Dark Brandon?
Yeah. Dark Brandon is doing some dark trolling.
But can we discuss what the concept of being dark MAGA is?
Well, so imagine you've like sniffed a bag full of cocaine. I'm talking about like a 500-gram bag of cocaine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you also just happen to be one of the richest men on the planet, and your name happens to be Elon, right?
Wait.
You know, and you've got like 12 kids, right?
You've been asked to wait.
Did anyone hear that? Did anyone hear? There's someone banging at my door. Who is that? Daddy Derek? What do you mean it's Tubby bedtime?
Okay.
Guys, Daddy Derek says it's my bedtime.
Oh. In which case one of our hosts will need to leave mid-cast.
Wow.
Because Daddy Derek is a strict man.
Yeah. Assuming Daddy Derek has no flexibility with tubby bedtime.
Daddy Derek does not.
Oh. Well. Okay. Well, I wish you a good daddy. I wish you a good Derek.
If I don't obey Daddy Derek, he'll let Elon meddle in my
elections.
My elections.
Say elections, but with an R.
No.
Is he going to meddle down there?
I don't want Elon meddling with my erections.
I don't want that either.
Good. Don't think anyone should, but unless you're Grimes.
No, Grimes.
No, they divorced.
They divorced.
Yeah.
And she became a communist. She became a communist afterwards.
Yeah. Kid had too many weird names.
Right. Anyway.
Okay.
Bye.
I must go and attend.
Yeah. I won't do the normal call outro because then that will dox what day we're recording it on. No.
Bye.
Don't want to do that. Peace.
Bye.
Peace. Well.
Are we going to continue this then for a bit longer?
Yeah, episode 1 vibes. Episode 1 vibes.
Episode 1 vibes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's our next what's our next topic then?
Hang on. Right. We were just thinking about who came up with Dark MAGA? Yeah, so your name is Elon. You've sniffed half of a 500-gram bag of cocaine. You've got 12 kids. You also happen to be the richest person on the planet.
Well, I thought being Dark MAGA was the same as being regular MAGA, except.
Except what?
Hello?
Hi.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, you cut off at except.
Oh, except you're wearing a black hat.
Well, I mean, as a certified emo boy, does that make me?
Oh well, no, you! You, not me! Oh yeah. No, I remember the context.
Now. If I suddenly joined MAGA, would that make me Dark MAGA?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if ever I feel like joining that particular movement, I'm I'm glad I know what part of it I'll be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, what a crackpot.
Mm.
What a crackpot theory. I had um a surprise topic in my head. It's completely gone out of it. Um uh I it's so annoying because
What did it have
fun.
like? What did it have to do? Did it have
I
like? What did it
it
have to do
was
with that? That's not correct English. What was it about?
um it was about something to do with foreign affairs and interference and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Um I mean, oh, was it something to do with the deletion of uh twitter.com? Yeah, no, I think it was something to do with deleting twitter.com. But
I
hey,
mean, that
you know
doesn't
what?
narrow it
So
down too much.
surprise topic. Do you remember when Zuck and Elon Musk were going to fight in the uh Colosseum?
I remember hearing something vague about Elon Musk and Zuck fighting, but I didn't know it was in the Colosseum.
Yeah, no, because there was a brief discussion around it, and Zuck actually accepted, which is quite un-Zuck like. Um, and then all of a sudden, Zuck, because Zuck knows, I think he knows Krav Maga.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Elon actually was like, "Oh wait, no, sorry, don't feel like it." Um,
What's Krav
like,
Maga? I've never heard of that.
um, it's the Israeli martial art.
Ah,
I've probably butchered the pronunciation, but
that's interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah. Like, could you imagine a world where that actually happened?
What, and
You've
Elon
got
lost?
two of the richest people on the planet fighting it out over um nothing in a
Over,
spot where blood sports used to happen a
over kind
thousand
of
and a bit
like
years ago.
over pride, really. You know, nothing more.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Oh, speaking of oligarchy, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think this was my. So, do you remember? Do you know that all the billionaires are effectively paying homage to the next administration? Like, Zuck has decided to make Meta and associated platforms more like pro free speech,
Mm-hmm.
um, in a way quite similar to the platform that I utterly despise, Twitter/X.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Bezos has donated, I think, $1 million to the inauguration, um, that's going to take place on January 20th, and also has like stopped the Wall Street Journal. No, that's not the one he owns. The Washington Post, that's the
The
one he
Washington
owns.
Post, yeah.
Yeah, from uh one endorsing Harris last election, and two, it's now had a spat with the cartoonist over the depiction of the next the leader of the next administration. Um, yeah,
Well, and also from my understanding, the Washington Post is a more liberal publication anyway. So that's kind of
yeah.
strange that he would make those decisions.
I think so. I think Bezos is scared about potential political backlash.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because if he had done those and the election result would have played out the same as it did, he was like afraid that because he did those things or allowed those things to happen, he would have found the SEC, pardon me, and like such prosecution-based things on his heels a lot more than like if he kept quiet. I think that's the logic behind it.
Well, again, I take the opinion that I think that democracy and the sort of systems of capitalism are things that can work together, but I think they work together best when you keep the hand of the kind of elite class that capitalism will kind of inevitably create out of politics. You know, you have an enfranchised public that will not tolerate that kind of thing, you know. But I can't really disagree that with what we're seeing in the US now is a real move towards that, where you've got a presidential campaign that has, you know, very much had quite a disdain for democracy, and now it's having a lot of money thrown behind it from powerful people in order to you know, like for political influence. And I think that's actually, I think it's very damaging to American democracy, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it's I think it's damaging to democracy anywhere.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at Australia. Their elite class owns all of the press. Like Murdoch, enemy of the caste number 2, like owns pretty much every major publication in Australia. And if you look at their electoral record, Liberal National, Liberal National, Liberal National, one-term Labour, Liberal National, Liberal National, Liberal National, two-term Labour, Liberal National, like, it's very rare that generally the party that goes in favour of the people gets in, and the party in favour of business interest is generally running things most of the time.
Well, I don't think that, you know, politicians in favour of business interest is necessarily a bad thing. Because I think in a capitalist system, like, being a party that's pro-business is going to appeal to a lot of people, because there are going to be a lot of people that want, like, less taxes and, you know, want more business-friendly policies and are into that kind of thing more. I wouldn't say that you're kind of, I guess you could say, economically right parties are kind of anti-people per se. You know, there are going to be some people that are into more laissez-faire kind of free market economics. I'm not personally, but I do think that there is some truth to that fact. But another thing I wanted to discuss is that, you know, in terms of countries that you can 100% describe as an oligarchy, like, would be, you know, for example, like in somewhere like Russia, like how that oligarchy was able to form was because you had, up until the collapse of the Soviet Union, and I feel like part of the reason why I'm talking about this is because I just finished an essay essentially on this subject.
Yeah.
So that might be why I'm very interested.
I know you were doing a class on this.
Yeah, and I finished the final essay for it, and that was why I kind of wanted to have a think about this. Like, after the collapse of the Soviet Union in Russia, you had essentially these sort of industries just became open to whoever could attain them. So you just had these oligarchs essentially claim everything that was previously state run, which could essentially just squash competition entirely. So you had this very uninclusive economy. And thus,
And because the Russian state was on fire at the time, you had no one to really stop them.
No one to rein them in. But what Putin was able to do is he was, as a strongman dictator, he was kind of able to make the oligarchs subservient to him. So what he did was he centralized his power by controlling the oligarchs, which control the economy. So you got this whole thing where, it's a control of both the political and economic side of the country in a way. But then it's interesting to contrast it to Ukraine, because what happened with Ukraine is that there was a politically enfranchised public that you didn't have in Russia that clashed with the oligarchs. That prevented a kind of strongman dictatorship from forming, So I think what we face in the West now, it's kind of in terms of free market capitalism and the neoliberal policies, we might be faced with a struggle of a politically enfranchised public against a powerful class. And I think we should try and do everything we can to allow that struggle of the politically enfranchised public to win against an elite class. And I feel like what you were seeing in America is that elite class really starting to spread itself a lot more,
So you're saying that, in effect, class warfare.
I'm not saying class warfare.
Not warfare, but class.
I'm saying democracy. I'm saying the systems of democracy winning against oligarchical control is what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with class.
Well, I mean, in a way, you can't. Oligarchs are a class, in a way.
Well, no, because not every person who is powerful is necessarily an oligarch. Because I would say an oligarch is specifically where they what am I trying to say? Where it's kind of like they will be specifically subservient to a regime, and the regime will be kind of subservient to them. You know what I mean? The two will work together for control. And as a result, I think what we need is government and politics speaking for democratic rights, and as opposed to just the interest of oligarchy, just in terms of the interest of elite. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have, in my opinion, that doesn't mean we shouldn't have policies that can stimulate free market capitalism, but it has to be an inclusive economy versus an exclusive one, I would say,
But wouldn't you say that the current media, which is all owned by rich and powerful businessmen who verge on the side of oligarch, at least in the States, the media will then feed the public, stories about why the candidate who favours the oligarchs is the best one, and simply by choosing where to cover and what to cover, they shape the narrative in their own interests, and therefore create somewhat of an oligarchy against the non-wealthy.
I kind of disagree because I think the internet has completely changed the way we kind of process information now. And I think a lot of people don't like it when media gives them obvious agendas, I would say.
Well, not even with the obvious ones, but the stuff that is discussed on the internet tends to be the stuff that the big newspapers and legacy media still discuss.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even something like the Luigi Mangione stuff, because we haven't discussed that on the cast. I know
which would be interesting to discuss.
Yeah, because I've got another half an hour, I feel.
Okay.
Like, with Luigi Mangione, it was still discussed by the legacy media, but the spin that they put on it was horrified and, like, disgust. Pardon the double entendre there, but then you've got the new media not celebrating him, although in some cases that was the case, but far more putting a spin on far more like humanizing the man. But it was only because the legacy media discussed him in certain terms and stuff like that. Like they haven't published his manifesto and stuff like that, and they've tried to frame it in their way, and I think it is being more and more successful.
Well, I mean, if I were to give you my position on the Luigi Mangione stuff, I mean, we've kind of talked about this while not recording, did we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did talk about it when not recording.
I think we were then like, maybe we should save the rest of this for when we are.
Well, I think that, yes, murdering someone does make you a disgusting person. I do think that. But that being said, I wouldn't say... I also understand that it is in the context of, things with the American healthcare system that I would, say are unjust and in need of reform. But I personally don't think that justifies making this guy into a martyr. I think that's a bit of a dangerous precedent. Like, I understand
who into a martyr,
like this Luigi guy.
Well, I mean, there's a chance he gets acquitted. Let's be honest.
I think that it's a dangerous precedent to say that. I think that would basically be saying, "Oh, political violence is fine." Then, like, I think that's. There's a dangerous precedent.
There's already been heaps of political violence.
True, but then I wouldn't say that makes that acceptable.
No, true, but the violence that went on over the summer was covered quite extensively.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about, again, I'm completely looking at states side here, rather than British or anywhere else. Looking at stuff like the Charlottesville riots.
Mm-hmm.
Those were masses of political violence, and they're not discussed too much anymore.
I think so many of these events happen that people have a short memory of these kinds of things.
Which leads me to ask the question: has it always been like this?
I think it depends on just how extraordinary an event is,
But like this, because it's gotten to the point where mass shootings happen in the States, and they're covered for like about 24 hours, and that's about it.
Mm. Yeah, it's when people get kind of desensitized to things.
But
is the thing, right?
Yeah, why has this happened? Why have people been this mass violence, these mass shootings and stuff like that? Like over here, you had um you had the dance class place, Southport.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had that, and that got covered for months and months and months, and it was a huge, and that was 3 people. Meanwhile, you go across the Atlantic, someone shoots 3 people. It's not even like a big headline
Mm-hmm.
for that long. You know, it's just like another mass shooting type stuff.
Well, it's like I do feel like a bit of a broken record when as like a Brit talking about American mass shooting, because I feel like everyone says the same thing,
Yeah,
Like I can't really say anything unique about it because it's like
it
it is a thing
just,
where it's like desensitized,
it's insane, and it's a testament to how powerful their gun lobby is. When when the Aussies had their big mass shooting, massive gun restrictions, boom, 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 boom. When the New Zealand Christchurch shooting happened, massive gun restrictions, boom, 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 boom. The Serbians had a mass shooting. Again, gun restrictions. Please hand in your 1990s rifles, otherwise we're going to start cracking down on this. Here's some like drop boxes. No shame on, you've got a grace period. Like tens of thousands of guns removed.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But it
actually, I would disagree that it's just a question of the American gun lobby that's sort of keeping these things from happening. I would say that there is a big, like if gun restriction was enacted in America, there it would be a big political hit to a big section of the country, because for whatever reason or another, a big section of the American public is pretty firmly pro-gun,
Well, yeah, but like the weapons that they can buy, like the fully automatic or even the semi-automatic weapons, it's I get that a lot of the time, even nowadays in the States, you're kind of bordering on the wilderness, and you are going to encounter many bear and stuff like that.
The frontier on the bear.
Yeah. You're in the whoops, and Mr. Bear's coming at you. You want to pull out Greg the
I
cat.
remember
and you
because
go,
I remember I remember because I have seen bear.
Yeah. Very understandable. And again, like, I know part of it is, if the government's ever too tyrannical, then we can form a militia and overthrow the tyrannical government. I think that was part of what the founding fathers intended. But with the current state of with the current laying it on the line, it's just like,
I mean, though, with a lot of arguments that pro-gun Americans make, like a lot of it is like, well, how can you 100% like confirm that our government would never fall into tyranny? And it's like, yeah, that isn't something that you can 100% say won't happen. So therefore it's like, oh, well, if the government falls into tyranny, then you need something to defend yourself with. I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm not saying that I agree with this as a pretext to have guns, but it's true that it's not something that you can guarantee.
But who is the arbiter of tyranny?
I don't know, potential.
Your freedoms, both positive and negative. Which ones of those need to be violated in order for you to say, yep, this is tyranny now? Like, there's no.
That's true. I mean, and especially Americans have lots of different definitions of what tyranny is.
You see, over in constitutional monarchy land, we have the monarch as
Mhm.
the arbiter of tyranny. If they see tyranny, then they do have powers to be like, nope, this
Well, I think
government
also a lot of
is
political
dissolved.
systems. Well, a lot of political systems have checks and balances to prevent this kind of thing.
But yeah, like in the States, who is the arbiter of tyranny? There is none.
I
And
don't.
in order to form a militia and you could argue that January 6th was people rebelling against tyranny as they saw it.
Well, but it was tyranny. It was tyranny with no evidence behind it.
Yeah. So they would argue that they saw tyranny and they did their constitutional duty.
But I more mean in terms of like, like it's not really debatable. Like a tyrannical government has taken over the United States. What do you do at that point? Again, I'm not endorsing these like pro-gun arguments. I'm just saying like,
I mean, these were the founding fathers' ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just
fully.
like I'm kind of just going with the hypothesis,
But
to question
like,
it. It's like
I think you need to do a cost benefit analysis and the cost of all the lives. Don't get me wrong.
It's
There's
a complicated thing.
if it does fall into tyranny, then you have a huge benefit. But the likelihood of a true tyrannical government in the US forming is pretty slim, I'd like to think.
Well, again, a lot of democracies have, I feel like,
Backslid.
not backslid, but I was saying a lot of even outside of a monarchy, a lot of democracies have systems that prevent this kind of thing from happening.
Yeah.
With like votes of no confidence and impeachments and things like that.
Yeah.
I suppose these things can happen, but certain places in the world, yeah, certainly backslid, I would say.
Orban's Hungary.
I think Orban's Hungary is one of the more extreme examples.
But yeah.
Well, actually, it's quite interesting with how much I've learned, because I've learned with what I've been researching. I've learned so much about modern Ukraine recently, and how that country front slid, basically, like really quickly.
Wow.
So essentially, like before they had the Euromaidan revolution, they had a sort of basically a wannabe. They had their own like wannabe Putin.
A man like Putin.
Yeah, they had man like Putin.
Best song.
I completely forgot about that existed.
That is amazing song.
I completely forgot about a man like Putin. But whenever you say man like Putin, it sounds like the Roadman kind of interpretation of that.
No. To every listener, listen to A Man Like Putin. It's a great Russian pop ballad.
Bear man like Putin.
Shout out Luke Day as well while we're talking about music.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like also, so Viktor Yanukovych was kind of like a man like Putin, but the Ukraine also had like essentially a complete oligarchy controlling its economy as well, and it still does to an extent. But Ukraine got a very kind of politically enfranchised public that were like, no, we're not having this. We refuse to accept an authoritarian government and an oligarchical economy. So they had a revolution. And now in Ukraine, you've got this kind of interesting conflict going on between a very democratic government and a very democratic, enfranchised public. but quite a oligarchical system of quite an oligarchical economy.
Well, you had that before it transitioned into a war economy.
Yes, yeah, before it turned into a war. But it's very interesting, like just the things that Ukraine faced, and I just wonder, like with the kind of power, like with again, yeah, I do think that with powerful individuals, it's like it is a challenge for every democracy that kind of prescribes to neoliberal economics. And it's just very interesting to see how that went down there, because I think it's something that like we're all kind of facing. That's just kind of interesting to me.
And we don't all have a famous TV star who accidentally became president on his TV show
And then
only to
became
then do it
president in real life.
Whatever people's opinions on Zelensky are, what a career progression! Like,
well, if you think about it, it's really the most genius political advertisement of all time.
yeah.
I mean, essentially, like from what I understand, like it's like the biggest psyop ever, because people in Ukraine got so used to thinking of Zelensky as the president, it's like second nature to vote him in as it.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of brilliant to me.
Yeah, and he was completely outside of the political establishment to begin with. And he managed to... I think he was doing a pretty good job. Well, not to discredit his wartime stuff, but he was trying to get rid of corruption, and I think he was pretty popular.
Well, yeah, again, he positioned himself very anti-establishment and sort of anti the oligarch elite stuff, you know.
Yeah, I think he did have one oligarch on the side, but I think you need to in order to get any kind of foothold in Ukraine.
Yeah, in a country like that, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a shame war has to exist.
Yeah.
You know, I heard one of the many Christmas songs saying "War is over," and I was like, no, it's not. War's still there.
I think we live in a much more dangerous world than we did even 10 years ago. No.
I don't know. The problem is there's always been this sense that now is forever the most important time that we are living through. You know, dating back since forever.
Mm-hmm. But I'm more talking about just in terms of that we like a breakdown of both a kind of unipolar American-led world and also like the kind of rules-based international order. You know, I think we are seeing more of a breakdown of that than we had before.
I don't know, because like you've got to put things in context. Like Vietnam, you know, everyone thought that would be the end of, like, you've had this state that the Americans have so desperately supported. They've put hundreds of thousands of troops in, put hundreds of thousands of dollars in, and then all of a sudden they abandon it. You know, like, everyone thought that would be the end of American hegemony, but it wasn't. It's this constant recency bias that's in everyone's minds, and it's in everyone's minds inherently, just because we remember now and recent history a lot further than we remember past history, even if it's happened within our own lifetimes.
I mean, I'm just kind of comparing things to my head, in my head from kind of just like the end of the Cold War, though, more so, in that you kind of have had this overall American unipolar world where there have been conflicts, but they've not been kind of as large scale as they've been up until more recently.
I wouldn't be so sure because what you've had heaps of places go down in the Middle East. You've had heaps of like the whole invasion of Iraq. You had the Twin Towers. You've had
Yeah.
Afghanistan. Uh, you had
But I
you
more
had
mean in terms of
Yugoslavia.
big powers and how they've acted.
Well, what? Okay, so assuming that the great powers of the world are NATO, Russia, and China.
Yeah. I think you've seen a lot more kind of action against the kind of American led order from those two. Definitely.
From Russia and China. China China likes trade too much at the moment to start ramping up any actual military pressure. Russia, I'd say Russia's on its way out in terms of being a great power. Like it's the fact that it's gone to war with one of its minuscule neighbors,
Mm-hmm.
and
But I
it
don't think,
still
I don't think
hasn't
they'd
had
go
an overwhelming
down
victory.
like without a fight, though.
No,
You know.
no. But like the fact that it's now been coming up to 3 years, and
Well,
they still haven't won, and they've had to call in their buddies North Korea to start fighting.
but I think China, like, I'm not really talking about like hard power with China, though. I'm more talking about like economic soft power and how they've kind of been able to push themselves to kind of gain influence in lots of places in the world. Is more what I mean with that. Like with Russia, I'm obviously more talking about, you know, hard military power, but I'm not talking
and
about
it's
that so much.
mercenaries that pop up lots of places.
Yeah, I'm not talking
the little
about that.
green men.
I'm not talking about that so much with China.
I don't know. With that, it's kind of a wait and see. Like, I think we're coming up on around ending time.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to cut it.
I think we'll finish on this little thought on. But when Biden visited Africa recently, I forget which country he visited, but when he promised investment, lots of people were like, "Oh no, they've got all these human rights concerns. They've got all this and that, and we shouldn't invest until they've cleared it up." China's not going to care about that.
And that's that's kind of the problem, is that China don't really have to pay lip service to these kinds of things. Like,
you lead by example, and you give these people their stuff, and you say, "Look at what we've got. Look at what we've got. This is because we've got the systems that we do." You know, you don't say, "Oh, if you do this, then we'll give that." You just carrot all the time, and you don't dangle in front of them. You just give it to them because that's what China will be doing.
But then again, it's understandable that, you know, to invest in a regime that you find kind of unsavory. I think. In a democracy that kind of plays a lot of lip service to morality and human rights is also kind of understandable.
But there comes a point where if you stopped over every qualm that people had, which country was it? Angola. I thought it was Angola. Yeah. And it's like, just stop criticizing every donation to a country that is only this way it is because another country at some point in recent, on a global scale, history came and screwed it over.
I wouldn't say that's the only reason why these countries are the way they are.
Oh no, 100%. They've got less natural resources.
They've
you've
had, they've just had corrupt governments that have been more interested in enriching themselves than investing. Because I think the most successful countries in Africa understood their bad starting point in the wake of colonialism, and they just kind of were like, well, we'll do what we can and invest in the country and the people as much as we can.
Yeah.
Like your Botswanas and stuff like that.
Mm.
But yes, obviously colonialism has an impact too. I'm not saying it didn't have an impact, but I'd say there are many reasons other than that,
Mm. But I think that makes a pretty decent place to end up.
Indeed.
I will do the outro unless you have any thoughts.
I don't think I do.
Well, I have been TD, and Ben has been
Ben. Hen.
Yep. And Clark was with us,
but no, he's not.
He got tubby bedtimes. We'll miss him dearly.
Indeed.
Tinky Winky got him,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this has been a better podcast than the last one. I'm gonna say it.
I think it was a bit more concise. I would agree,
and
I think the topics were a bit better.
Yeah. And on that note, peace.